You have planned your photo day, you got up early in the morning, you are arriving on location, and then you have to accept that the weather is totally different to your prediction. And there's no way to avoid a situation like that totally, but predicting your own photography weather with using weather maps will increase your chances dramatically to be prepared for the weather. How I predict my own photography weather is revealed in this video. Hi my friends, very nice to see you. In my last week's video I showed you the massive advantages when you use weather maps and why they are really much more accurate than each other weather service or any weather app. Today I will make a weather prediction for the next days, and I'm thinking about to hike up a mountain for taking a fantastic vista shot of a sunrise. And my plan is to hike up this mountain here, and I've never been up there, to be honest, and I don't know if these trees here are low enough so that I can photograph over them and down to that valley with that nice lake down there. And currently I see even multiple options here for compositions, by the way. Just quickly, if it's possible, I want to go anywhere here with my camera, and either I will just take this lake here into my frame or even both lakes. Yeah, there is a second lake here at the right hand side. What will finally be possible depends totally on the height of the trees up there, to be honest. So the only thing I can plan here now is a rough camera position, a rough direction I want to photograph to, and yeah, most importantly, the weather. I see here the story of sunrise in the mountains, and this could be supported by this subtle sunlight from the right. And when I take both lakes in, I would maybe get the sun into my frame when there are no clouds up there. And generally, there are definitely more options here. And what I'm looking for is a day that is not overcasted, where simply no rain and no snowfall. So let's have a look at the weather maps. The first thing I always do is I have a look at the global weather situation over the next days. I simply want to get an idea about the tendencies. It's Thursday in the moment, so I will have a look up to Sunday, something like that. I'm especially interested here in the air pressure and in the jet streams. These are the higher winds up there. And that's really simple. First of all, I choose an interval of 24 hours. I don't need this more accurate here, this is just the global weather. I want to find out how the global weather roughly changes over the next days. Well, let's have a look at the air pressure. I'm interested here in especially the 500 hectopascal geopotential height. And yeah, this is just a snobby way of saying air pressure actually. And 500 hectopascal, this means simply this is the weather in 5,500 meters sea level and above. And now we are not interested in the colors, we are more interested in these lines here, and they are called isobars, by the way. And the higher the values, the higher is the pressure, the air pressure. And the absolute values here are not so important here. Important are the differences between all the areas. And so in this area here from South UK over France, North Italy, we have high pressure weather. Also here to some more countries in the east. And left beside Iceland there is a low, for instance. Also in the northern Scandinavia is a low. And this tells us different things. First of all, high pressure means that all the weather transitions are slow because the air is pushing down from above and it's really compact, and the weather gets more stable in this case. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you will get sunshine. We could also get very stable fog or something like this instead. And in the other hand, low pressure means that there is a chance for more transitions in the weather. You know, the air can rise or interact with colder air up there, with winds up there and so on. And low pressure usually means that there is a good chance for precipitation, but it could also be that there will be changes between rain and sunshine or whatever. And the second thing we should consider is a low rotates quite fast to the left, and the high doesn't rotate all too much, just a tiny bit maybe to the right or something like that. And again, a high is a quite compact thing. There's not all too much of movement. By the way, in the south hemisphere, it's the opposite direction. There, the lows rotate to the right and the highs are slightly to the left. But as I live in the northern hemisphere, I will focus here on the northern one. So lows are rotating to the left. And however, lows are usually smaller, highs are bigger. And just this is little side information. So with this global map here, we get an idea of the stability of the weather. Now, important to know is where we are, of course. So I'm living here in the heart of Austria. And as we can see, we have high pressure today. I use the arrow keys on my keyboard to switch between the days. And tomorrow we have still high pressure. Also on Saturday and on Sunday. It's not extremely high through, but I know that there will definitely be no low pressure on that day as well. But I also know that there is a tendency to lose pressure over the weekend. And this means the weather will be quite stable all days to Sunday, but we have to calculate with decreasing pressures up from Sunday, if not already Saturday. Because weather predictions can always come a bit earlier or later. That's really important to consider. However, at the first sight, it doesn't look all too bad for vista photography over the next days. And the second thing I'm interested in here is the directions of the winds, and therefore I choose another map. I take the 500 hectopascal winds. I'm interested how the jet streams are deviated due to the lows and highs. Again, the lows and highs rotate. The lows a bit more than the highs, and the base winds coming from east and west are deviated depending on the air pressure. It's really not that complicated than it sounds. Let's go back to today, Thursday in this case. A quite important thing for me is to understand where the wind comes from, because west wind from the ocean means that it will bring lots of moisture. A north wind means that it will bring lots of cold air from the pole, and south wind means that it will bring lots of warm air. A continental wind from the east in this case means that there will come quite dry air. Again, these are tendencies. It could also rain when there comes a wind from east. And if you shouldn't live in the middle of Europe like me, just ask yourself, does the wind come from the ocean? Then you get moisture. Does it come from the continent? Then it will be more dry. Or does it come from the cold north or from the warm south? And this will give you a good base idea, the graphics of the weather if you want. And on the southern hemisphere, I just mentioned this quickly, the warm air will come from the north and the cold one from the south, obviously. So, but however, I'm sure you will find out what the wind directions mean, in particular your country. Let's have a look how the wind is here for my planned photo day. Today we get wind from the west, what brings moisture from the ocean. Tomorrow it comes more from the north, what will bring us colder air. Same for Saturday and Sunday. We don't know exactly the weather now, we just know tendencies. We know that there will come a tiny bit of moisture from the west on Friday, colder air on Saturday and Sunday. The weather will be more stable as we have high pressure. Well, now let's plan the weather in detail, and therefore I go over to a regional weather map. I use the WRF model therefore. Here I'm not interested in a 24 hours interval like on the global model. I'm more interested in the hourly changes of the weather, and so I choose an interval of 1 hour. We want to photograph here at this point, by the way, towards the east. I have the precipitation map open here, and this is important for my prediction because I would not be able to look over the valleys when we get rain or snowfall, obviously. I use this map here, but I want simultaneously have a look at the clouds. So I go over into the multivariable mode. It's really cool that this provider here offers this option. And I add the low level, the mid level and the high level clouds as well in this case. And now we're interested in the sunrises. For today it hadn't worked as we got blocking low level clouds in the east. You know, in winter the sun rises in the south and east and low level clouds hang down to around 600 meters sea level, and our vantage point is at around about 1000 meters sea level. So these clouds here block us the sunlight. And as we want to get direct sunlight, we want to avoid low clouds here. Mid-level and high-level clouds were not a problem at all, as they would open a window for our sun, but the low clouds are definitely our enemy here. Let's have a look how the weather changed over the day up to tomorrow morning. we see that there comes a tiny bit of precipitation over the day. I open the map as a new window here to see it bigger. The yellow line here is the snow line. Above 500 meters we get snowfall, below it is rain. And this changes during the day, but as it is not much of precipitation, we can totally ignore that in this case. So let's go back to our 4 maps. How will the weather change during the day? Unspectacular, but the night gets interesting. Will there be a clear night? No, we have low-level clouds here, but quite on the edge. It resolves at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. All in all, there is a 30% chance of getting a clear night. Just a rough estimation of my experience. Well, what does clear night mean? When we get no clouds overnight, the surface of the landscape will cool down as the warmth can radiate to the outer space. And this is why a cold surface is one of the ingredients for getting fog, for instance. We don't want to get all too much fog, we want to see the lakes from up there. So we just have to be careful here. And it doesn't look all too bad on Friday. I think I will take the photograph at around about 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe 8:15 or something like that. This is UTC time up here, so I have to add my time zone, so I have to add 1 hour here. By the way, if you want to get more details about why weather maps are more accurate than weather apps and how to read weather maps, I can recommend to watch the video from last week. I will link it up there for you if you haven't watched it. Well, when we would rely on this weather map here now, then we would get clear sky tomorrow, and the rough composition I thought about over these lakes there could work with clear sky. The only complication I see is here we get low clouds here in the west, straight beside our camera position. And the problem is, predictions are never 100% right, or at least not all too often, to be honest. So the worst case scenario where that these low clouds here would appear a bit more in the east, and then we would not have a view down there. So because, they would simply block our view to the distance. We wouldn't see our composition, or we wouldn't be able to build up one actually. But let's have a look at the wind. I remember this 30 map here. Let's open the wind in a new map. I'm interested in the 925 hectopascal wind here now. 92.5 hectopascal, this is the air around 800 meters sea level. And that's exactly there where our low clouds are. And generally, the more hectopascal, the lower the air is, and the less hectopascal, the higher it gets. And 500 hectopascal means 5,500 meters and above, for instance. You don't need to know all these heights 100% exactly. The prediction is already not 100% accurate. So important is just to interpret the values and finally to estimate your chance to get the weather as you want to have it. However, when we look here now at our 925 hectopascal wind, we see the wind is not strong through, just 9 knots, but it anyway moves exactly in the worst possible direction, to the east in this case, so to our camera position. So the chance is realistic and even high that this cloud would come too far to the east for us, above our camera position, and this is why I will not go there tomorrow. I will not risk it. Let's have a look how the weather will be over the day tomorrow, on Friday, and then also on Saturday morning. Let's go back to our multi-maps. And by the way, my friends, if you like this video, I'm really happy about a thumb up. It would help me, it would help the algorithm, and it would also help other photographers out there to find this video better on YouTube. Thank you therefore. Well, back to Friday. It will be a bit cloudy during the day on Friday. We even have clear night to Saturday. We will check later if there could be some fog as well. Let's have a look how the weather will be on Saturday morning. And as we can see, it's totally blue sky. On the first sight, this could work for our Vista composition, for our Vista shooting. And the only question is, will there come fog or mist? So I go over to the single map again. And here I'm interested in the humidity, the relative humidity. We have around 55% of humidity, and up from 65% we could get fog. So it looks quite safe for getting no fog there on the first sight. But let's have also a look how the humidity is the hours before. That's even more important because fog needs some time to be built. And yeah, we have around 80% humidity for some hours and 10 knots of wind on the ground. Now, wind is our enemy for fog, by the way, so the more wind, the less the chance for fog. But 10 knots will not avoid fog, so Also when the weather maps show us that there will be absolutely clear sky. But it's also that what the common weather services are saying, by the way. It anyway could be that there would be built a tiny bit of fog. I know already from the global weather that there comes moisture with wind from west on the day before. Now I see a serious risk here now for fog, and the high pressure could also hold it down and we would have no view down to the valley. What I'm doing here now is I'm reading between the lines. Each common weather service, each weather app says clear sunshine. And this is also what I can read here from the maps. But combining all the facts I found out from the maps helps me to understand or to think about what could happen if some parameters are a bit different. Well, I don't want to wait for Sunday as the air pressure decreases, what would also not be an advantage, to be honest. The question is how much of fog will be up there. It could be that the fog will just be in the valleys and we could even look over the clouds then over the fog. The only problem were if the clouds would raise up higher, but in this case I could think about a plan B or maybe even a plan C. Well, I think here is, let's say, a 30, if not 40% chance to get a clear view down to the valleys, and this is my plan A, to shoot a vista, what I have shown you before. But there's also a 40% chance that the mist raises a bit and that we would get fog up there. At our camera position, the vista would not be possible then anymore. But as there are lots of trees up there, we could shoot some fantastic woodland scenes in that case. And this is my plan B. And just if the mist would raise even higher, what is, the last 20% chance when I calculated right. This is the worst case scenario. We wouldn't have a view down to the valleys and we wouldn't also have fog for woodland photography. As these were not the best conditions for photographing up there, a plan C is just, all about location scouting up there, to be honest. But as there is high pressure predicted, the chance for the other two scenarios is much higher. So I have a plan A and a plan B. And I think I will decide to go there on Saturday morning. But the thing is, and I mentioned this already in my last week's video, the further a prediction is in future, the less accurate it is. So what I will definitely have to do now is, I will have to observe the weather maps over the next days or just tomorrow in this case. And if everything works as it should, I will really hike up there. This means if it's possible with my knee. I had a knee injury last year, but anyway, I think I will try for it. And if you're interested about this photo tour, watch my next video. I will link it here then when it got uploaded. If you like this, give me a thumb up. Thank you so much for watching. See you next Saturday. Bye.
I'm the landscape you need to see. You are the artist I'll never be.